New Jersey Governor Christie's administration is finding itself stuck in a political jam that only got worse today. Newly released emails reportedly link a top Christie aide to a string of controversial lane closures at the George Washington Bridge in September and suggest those closures were ordered as political retribution. Democrats accuse Christie's staff of closing the lanes to punish the Democratic mayor of Fort Lee for not endorsing Christie's reelection. Fort Lee saw 4 days of gridlock because of the closures. The emails originally released to the Bergen Record come from the political accounts of Christie's deputy chief of staff, Bridget Ann Kelly, and David Wildstein, a Christie appointee at the Port Authority. Kelly wrote in August, "Time for some traffic problems in Fort Lee." Wildstein replied a minute later, "Got it." Since the controversy broke, Governor Christie has said his staff had no involvement in the lane closures. MSNBC has reached out to Governor Christie's office for comment, but we have not heard back as yet.
They can't think, they can't imagine. Most of them can't even spell, they just run things.
The emails display an almost comical venality bordering on outright sociopathy, and they will probably destroy Christie's chances in 2016. The bridge story itself, while small in nature, reveals a political culture around Christie of people who have no business holding power. So again, it's sort of more about the culture that Chris Christie cultivated within the governor's office.
And the character that he plays. I mean, whenever you see a Christie event, there is such a theater around himself that he creates, that the people around him create.
You want evidence? There. That proves I'm human.
Proves you're stupid.
Exactly.
This is all theater.
If here comes this truth teller, he doesn't care, you know, he's getting these little guys out of the way. Usually at a press conference, he picks a mayor in New Jersey who's getting in the way of some problem, and he just goes after him. What we see here is not just a kind of venality, it's a pettiness. You know, Chris Christie's, whole shtick has been that, the politicians in New Jersey, the Democrats, the Republicans, mostly the Democrats, are focused on defending their little town fiefdoms. They're caught up in little issues, and I'm the guy who has the people's interests in mind, who's going to come in and push that all away. Yeah. And what we see here is him engaging in just his staff.
His staff.
His staff engaging in just these very petty. I mean, we're talking about lane closures on a Hudson River crossing. It's very petty.
And it's interesting that whole theater that you talk about up to now, even when yelling at teachers, has really inured to Christie's benefit. Now, for it might finally be turning to bite him in the email.
It's all about diffusion. It keeps the sound waves from grouping. You see, when the sound waves, they propagate, then it's like You
are such a nerd.
The dispersion of power presents new challenges to people. And we're going to have the struggle that I talked about often when I was president between the forces of people trying to put things together and the forces of people trying to take things apart. And it's now occurring at a more granular level all across the world. It's very carefully done psychologically and substantively.
Is it true that there is a place in a man's head that if you shoot it, it will blow up?
And everything is serving to polarize the country.
Where's the melon, man?